Cheap versus expensive colored pencils. Woo!
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this heroic fight between this flyweight colored pencil brand versus a heavyweight one. Grab your popcorn, lean back and enjoy this fight. It will be as interesting as a fight between Magikarp and Rayquaza, or between Hot Pie and Drogon. Or maybe not. Hey there, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to compare cheap and expensive colored pencils. Should you save your money to get the more expensive ones, or is it totally fine to use the cheaper brand? Just watch the video if you'd like to see what I found out. I use Polychromos by Faber-Castell and Raffine colored pencils. I put the information about my supplies in the description box below. Both sets come with a good color range. Here you can see the drawing I prepared for this little test. I decided to color one half of the piece with the cheaper brand and the other one with the more expensive colored pencils. I wanted to avoid color combination failed, so hard-working me did an extremely professional color study. I decided that I wanted to go with the blue hair. Now you can see me coloring with the expensive colored pencils, the ones by Faber-Castell. I started with a very thin layer of the colors I wanted to have for the hair. The hair should go from a very dark blue tone, almost a black one, to a turquoise color. So I began to work my way through and added slowly more and more layers. This took a little while, but it is really worth doing multiple layers with colored pencils. When you press down too hard when you do the first layer, you hardly can add more pigments on top. You basically varnished your drawing after the first layer. But when you just use very little pressure, you can go on and add more and more pigments. I have to admit that I didn't use Polychromos when I first got them because I was too afraid of wasting them. But then I shifted my mind and thought that it is even a bigger waste when I do have them chilling around in my drawer without being ever used. So I began to incorporate them more and more into my artworks and I really love them. Normally all the cool art supplies I buy are from abroad, e.g. Copics are made in Japan, Winsor & Newton in the UK sells also cool stuff, but Faber-Castell is doing really great stuff here in Germany too. Can't believe it. After I finished the hair, I went on with the flower. Now I wish I had used red tones for shading instead of the purple ones, because that would have made the flower even more pop on top of the dark hair, but yeah, sometimes even professional color studies can't prevent you from that. I went on to the face and somewhere is a bit footage missing. I'm really sorry about it. I still haven't figured out why that happens all the time, but I guess it's the memory card. One little downside of the specific set of Polychromos is the lack of skin tones, at least the very bright skin tones in my opinion. I bought one skin tone later separately because I simply need a very bright tone for blending. Using a white colored pencil isn't an option because the white simply makes everything so dull. And that's why I bought a very light skin tone later separately, but I feel like I still need some more to have a greater variety. In the face I added some of the colors I used for the hair and also warmer tones of the flower. And that was the first part of the drawing. I wanted to avoid that I just rush through the second half because coloring the same stuff twice can be really boring. That's why I stopped at this point and did the other half refreshed and motivated the next day. So now I am using the cheaper brand, the colored pencils by Raffine. This time I started with the face because this set comes with many great skin tones. And luckily the lightest skin tone, a yellowish color, was the same as my Polychromos skin tone. That's why the colors look almost the same. You can't really see it on camera, and even later when the whole drawing was finished I wasn't able to capture it with the camera perfectly, but there is more difference between the pencils than you can see on screen. I had the feeling that it was more difficult to layer the colors when I used the cheaper set. That means that I couldn't layer that many pigments on the right side as I could do with the Polychromos on the left side. And that simply means that I can get slightly more vibrant colors with the expensive colored pencils. I noticed this especially with the lighter tones. I needed to press harder with the pencils when I used the Raffine colored pencils to get the color on paper. but that means that I hardly could add another layer on top. This is most visible when you compare the flowers. The left one, the Polychromo version, has deeper shadows. This wasn't possible to achieve when I used a cheaper brand. And here's another thing I like to mention about the macro Raffine colored pencils. I used both times an electric pencil sharpener, simply to get a very sharp lead and to avoid breaking the lead by putting too much effort on the pencil when I use a non-electric sharpener. The colored pencils by Polychromos, so the expensive ones, didn't break at all. Not a single time. But the leads of the cheaper colored pencils broke now and then. Little pieces were breaking so that I had problems getting a very sharp lead. But this super sharp lead I hardly really needed, I have to admit. Just for very precise parts, e.g. the eyes. But it's definitely something that annoyed me a bit during the drawing process. Now you can see me coloring the hair part. An important thing to mention here is that I simply lost the dark blue colored pencil. So I needed to mix a blue tone and the black colored pencil here to get the tone I needed. That's just important to mention because it's simply more difficult to mix the color than laying just the flat color on the paper, as I could do with the Polychromos. But mixing the colors is an important part, and this was possible with both brands. It also shows you that you don't need hundreds of different colors. Of course, it's better for the lazy ones like me, but you definitely can mix many colors. Now I finally finished my drawing, and what do you think? Do you prefer the left side, the Polychromo version, or the right side? Just let me know in the comment section.
So here you can see the drawing again, and I haven't looked at it for a few days and I was really shocked because there's not much difference. During the drawing process it was easier handling the Polychromos because you can add pigments so easily on top of the first layer and another layer and another layer. Yeah, and that was simply the main difference I noticed. But now I see the finished result. Now I hardly can see anything because of the ring light, but there is really not much difference, at least for me. One important thing that justifies a higher price is also the light fastness, but it's winter and cloudy and rainy. Currently it seems snowing. But thanks to YouTube money, I can do scientific research for you. I go on vacation with this guy and chilling for 6 months in the sun. Then I will tell you the result. No, kidding. I personally prefer to combine the cheaper and the expensive colored pencils. If you don't know if you like Polychromos, you could buy some single markers or some single colored pencils and test them out, and maybe you do it in my way later on and combine them with the cheaper set. And if you found this video interesting, please share it with your friends. They might like this video too. And to those of you who were very brave and stayed until the very end, congratulations, there is a giveaway for you. So I know it might be a bit too late, but I created a calendar for my friends and family for Christmas with art I did the last year, and yeah, I simply hadn't time to announce the giveaway because we were out of town, and yeah. But if you like to win one of these 5 calendars, which will be arriving about in February, you can check out the description box below, and yeah, then you might be a lucky winner. And please read the instructions, that's very important. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I see you next week.